This week, the debate on whether or not to reopen schools for the upcoming school year has really heated up as parents, administrators, and government officials are all trying to decide what's best and what's safe. Many districts across the state have already made the decision to start this fall the same way it ended, with distance learning, and parents everywhere are feeling emotional and uneasy about what's to come. Governor Gavin Newsom is now also getting involved in the school situation, and joining us live is Troy Flint from the California School Boards Association to chime in on where they stand on sending kids back into classrooms or if distance learning is the answer for now. Welcome to the show, Troy.
Thanks for having me.
So this week, school districts across the state made some formal announcements that distance learning will be for them to start this school year, and locally, Sac City Unified, Elk Grove Unified, Stockton, Folsom Rancho Cordova, several others. And now Governor Newsom is weighing in. From your perspective, what is the right decision?
The right decision is a decision that is guided by health and safety foremost. Schools are balancing a lot of competing priorities, but when those priorities appear to be in conflict, they need to fall back on their primary values. And as the institution which has principal responsibility for taking care of this generation's youth, schools have to protect the health, the safety, and the lives of those students, as well as staff and families, and put that at the forefront of their decisions. That's why you're seeing so many schools that have opted to begin the year in an online learning mode. Right now, you have districts that educate about 25% of California's student population that have already made the call to do distance learning, not because they don't want to go back to campus. They desperately want to resume on-campus instruction, but not at any cost. And most districts do not have the means right now, whether that's the facility space, whether that's the funding, whether that's the staffing, the resources, or the capacity to bring students and staff back to campus in a safe manner.
Yeah, I think we need to keep that in mind, that this isn't something we've dealt with before. So we may say they've had a few months to deal with it, but the situation keeps evolving. Now, around the world, other countries who have been affected by the pandemic like us, they have been able to reopen safely. What are they doing that's working?
One thing that they're doing in other countries that's working is they got control of the virus. They did not reopen schools. When you look at the other industrialized nations, they did not reopen schools until community spread was very low. Nobody has done what some states and some districts here in California have attempted to do, which is reopen on-campus instruction when you have massive community spread, when you have cases spiking and the virus is not under control. They had already managed that to a large degree. And then when you look at those other nations, they have a history of investment in public infrastructure, health infrastructure, as well as their educational system, where they were able to get PPE quickly to schools. They were able to get the sanitation station. They were able to implement social distancing measures with a fidelity that we would not be able to recreate universally here in California, because we haven't made that same investment in all our schools and in our public health infrastructure. So we have equitable resources that we can deploy in order to make sure that these safety measures are being implemented effectively.
Yeah, a lot of work sounds like still needs to be done. When we say schools, we think about the kids, but what about teachers? Would that be putting teachers and other school staff in harm's way if schools are to reopen for that in-person instruction right now?
There are probably some districts in rural areas or counties where you've had a very small number of cases where you could bring students and staff back to campus safely and responsibly, but that's not the case in the majority of California school districts. So we have concern for students, we have concern for teachers, and we have concern for classified or support staff who often get overlooked in this discussion. Many of those support staff are in high contact jobs, whether that's a custodial job, whether that's a bus driver, whether that is someone who is serving food, who's involved in food service. So there are a lot of touch points, and we also have to consider parents and guardians as well. Very common to have older parents these days. Grandparents are often involved in caregiving and have those responsibilities. And so even if children do have less susceptibility to the disease, the fact that they could transmit that disease to staff, to parents, and to caregivers gives us grave concern because schools are here for the benefit of the community. We do not want to be presenting a health threat.
Right. It really affects a lot of people beyond just the immediate teachers and students you think about. Now, you're with the California Teachers Association or the the School Board Association, and there was recently a letter sent to Governor Newsom, an open letter. Can you talk about what that said?
The letter we sent just asked that that the state provide enough support, enough funding, and enough resources so that schools can open safely and responsibly. That letter also asks for clearer guidance, and I think some of that is forthcoming in the governor's announcement at noon today. We'll see exactly what he has to offer, but early reports indicate that a much sterner approach, a stricter hand is coming in terms of determining who closes and when they can reopen their schools. And CTA, the California Teachers Association, has also sent a letter on behalf of its members just saying that conditions were not acceptable. Conditions presented a workplace and a safety threat to their members, and that certain conditions needed to be met before they would feel comfortable sending their members back into work.
All right, Troy Flint, CIO with the California School Board Association. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Not at all, my pleasure.
And you can visit the California School Board Association at csba.org.